Good evening, lovely spirits. How are you doing today? I hope all is well. So, I want to talk to you today about transmutation, right? It's a topic that I have been investigating over the past few months, and it's been blowing my mind. So, I just want to, when you find something that has changed your life, you just want to share it, right? So, I just want to share. So, alchemy is a word that is most transmutation is a word that is most associated with alchemy. And alchemy is an ancient Egyptian art that reminds me a lot of yoga. And, the goal of yoga is union with the divine. The individual consciousness realizes its connection with the universe and can act in day-to-day experience within that awareness, right? Within that level of consciousness. Alchemy is a process that makes that goal its goal, right? So it has the same goal as yoga. Now, transmutation, while not the goal of alchemy, is one of the techniques that come from alchemy. And a lot of us think that transmutation means converting base metals into gold. And what I've come to understand is that it means so much more. It means, if I have to sum it up in two words, conscious transformation. Conscious transformation. Now, obviously, life is always transforming, and to some extent it feels like I'm consciously aware or consciously controlling a lot of that transformation, but there's a lot of it that I'm not, that I'm not really engaged in, that I'm just kind of passively accepting or unconsciously transforming. And alchemy says, no, we're going to consciously transform. So transmutation takes place on, can take place on the three planes of existence. I speak of physical, mental, and astral. Now, with the physical plane of existence, transmutation, I think, has manifested itself as chemistry, as engineering, as art. Because art, you think about it, you're taking base materials and you're transforming it to some sort of idealized expression, or creative expression, if we want to stay away from the term idealized. Exercise is a way to physically transmute your body, right? Consciously eating, if you're consciously thinking about the foods that you're consuming and how those foods will literally become your body, then you are engaging in transmutation. Sexual energy can be used, you can train that very physical energy, which I know if you've had sex, you understand how intense sexual energy can be. You can transmute that energy and apply that energy to other endeavors. And this can manifest itself as, what do they call it? Celibacy, right? Refraining from exercising these sexual energies, and also orgasm, bringing yourself to orgasm, maybe with a partner, maybe through masturbation, and using that energy, that orgasmic energy, and transmuting it at runtime, right? So these are some of the physical ways that transmutation occurs. Now, I want to talk primarily about mental transmutation, and this was mind-blowing for me. It's life-changing when I found out and started applying mental transmutation. Now, mental transmutation can be viewed as in two broad camps or categories, at least as I see it. One is language transmutation, right? So much of our mental life is fueled by language, manifests itself as language, as words, and energetic transmutation, right? There's a part of our mental life that's very much based on the emotional energy, the emotional charge of things, right? And I'll talk briefly about the more language-based transmutation, And then I'll dive into a very specific technique that I've been applying in my life that hasn't failed me once on energetic transmutation. So with language transmutation, I think there needs to be this insight that the language you use quite literally frames your conception of reality, right? There are certain notions that exist in other languages that are hard for me to even think about, hard for me to conceive, because I don't have the language for it, right? And within English, the words that I use have a major impact on how I will conceive of my reality, right? If I'm walking around constantly thinking about, I don't know, sex, right? Constantly thinking about sex, then my reality will start to be framed through the lens of sex. I will start to see people's value based on their sexual value. Or if I'm walking around thinking about intelligence, same rule applies. I'll start to frame my conception of reality, start to frame my judgments through the lens of intelligence, right? Now, if I'm going around thinking, I'm stupid, and I'm thinking that statement for, 5-10 years, eventually that thought, I'm stupid, is going to make a groove. Doesn't feel good, right? It's going to make a groove. And I will start to believe that this idea is an innate, immutable quality of reality, my stupidity, right? Just as when you have a stone and you rub a stone in the same spot over and over again, you'll start to get an indentation, right? When I realized this, it made me understand how important it was for me to consciously choose my inner talk, right? Everyone you know, including yourself, we're always talking to ourselves, right? Everyone's always talking to yourself. When you understand this language-based principle of transmutation, you start to understand how important it is that you control your inner talk, that you aren't telling yourself things that you don't want to start to frame your reality with. And now if I'm speaking to any witches, if I'm speaking to any brujas, any wizards, they know the power of the word, right? They know that words are spells, right? That words contain energy within them. I think it was Maya Angelou who said, words are alive, right? She didn't lie. So I'm not going to give you any specific techniques for this language-based transmutation, but I think the most important thing in order to start that transmutation process is awareness, right? So just start listening to your inner talk without judgment, right? Oh, whoa, I just told myself that I'm stupid. Ooh, whoa, I just had a thought that I'm undesirable. Oh, wow. I just told myself that I'm sexy as hell, right? No judgment. Just start becoming aware of your inner conversation because it's so subtle sometimes, it's hard to recognize. The other type of mental transmutation that I practice actively is energetic transmutation. And let me give you a scenario of when you will want to apply this type of transmutation. So you walk into some new context. This context can be maybe walking into a new space, maybe it's a party, maybe it's a classroom, or maybe the new context is a person, right? Maybe you're going to meet a friend for coffee or going out to clubbing, or whatnot. But whenever you find yourself in some new space, engaging some new energy, some new person, oftentimes what appears, not oftentimes, always what appears is an energy. You can feel it, right? Now, if you know the person very well, oftentimes this energy may be more subtle, right? But if you aren't super comfortable with a person, maybe you're still getting to know someone, new lover, new friend, maybe a family member, you can feel this energy appear in you. Now, what I used to do is I accepted this energy as a fact of life, right? When I would see a friend and I would maybe project some awkward energy, and I would see that energy as a fact of life. And why would I see it as a fact of life? Because I saw the evidence of it in life. Oh, you looked at me a certain way. Oh, the tone of your voice. Oh, some memory I have of our past, right? I had evidence that I had evidence that justified the energy that I was feeling, right? We don't need to accept this energy as reality, is what I'm realizing. You can feel this energy and then transform it to a new energy. And then reality will start to reflect that new energy. Now, this follows along with a principle called the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. As within, so without. Very, very famous principle. And it pretty much states that there is a correspondence between the planes of existence. So to change the mental energy will result in a transformation in the physical manifestation, right? And I know if you've never done this before, that sounds maybe weird. That sounds like, weirdness or something like that. Maybe like idealism, fooling yourself. It works. I've tried it so many times. I've tried it at the club. I've tried it at work. I've tried it in one-on-one interactions. I've tried it in group interactions. It always works. This transmutation of energy. Like I said, and this is something I've only been trying within the past 3 or so months, like actively applying every single day. So let me explain to you the process that I use to energetically transmute. 5 steps. The first step, feel the energy. Now, this can be a little tough because a lot of us don't like to separate the energy and the story because we feel like the energy needs that story as justification. And we like our stories. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with liking your story. I love my stories, right? My stories are beautiful and they create my reality. But in order to engage in this practice, I find it helpful to drop the story. Don't worry, you can pick it back up at the end, right? You drop the story so you can more palpably feel the energy, right? Ooh, is this energy heavy? Is it light? Is it pringly? Is it located right here? Is it in my head? Is it in my gut? Is it in my feet? Right? You want to start feeling this energy, how it feels without the story, right? Because this is literally the material that you're going to be transmuting, right? So you need to come into contact with that material. Now, step 2, you want to figure out, okay, what is the story behind this energy? Now, the difficulty with this is that stories oftentimes like to spiral out of control into new stories. So an example of this would be maybe the initial story is, I don't think my friend likes me. And then another story that I may come up with is, it's because they're jealous of me. And then another story that I may come up with is, because they're not happy with their life. And then you see what I mean? Like these stories because it's like new layers of justification, right? So what this step requires is that you don't do any of that justification and that you be honest and you say, what is that initial story that I'm telling myself? It could be something about the other person of, this person doesn't like me. It could be something about yourself of, I feel inadequate right now. I feel dumb. I feel unattractive. I feel worthless. Or it could be, about the other person of, this person is evil. This person is a bad person. This person, you get what I'm saying. I'm just repeating myself at this point. But you want to, the point that I'm trying to make is you want to latch on to that initial story, right? Not the stories that continue from that. Now, at this point, before I go on to the third step, I think it's important to introduce a caveat, and that is you don't need to mentally transmute the energy that you have with everyone. If you're in a toxic relationship, if you're in an abusive relationship, it may not be worth trying to transmute the energy with that person. It may be better to excuse yourself from that relationship and, let that be that. This mental transmutation is a choice, right? And it's something that I think it's best applied with relationships that you're invested in, relationships that you want to maintain, So that's that caveat. Step 3, pick a new story. Right? So you have your story. Let's say that the story was, I feel dumb. What's a new story that I'm going to adopt? Well, what story do I want? I'm smart. I'm capable. I'm sexy. Or the story may be about the other person. Oh, maybe if I thought this person was evil. No. Me and this person had an energetic conflict, but they're wonderful, Or, this person actually has nuance of thought, or this person is very kind. You want to pick the story that you want to see in reality, right? And this may feel a little uncomfortable because it involves an energetic kind of pushing, challenging a person's energetic free will, right? If a person wants to feel worthless and the story that you want to adopt is, oh, you're worth everything in the universe, then I think it's important to approach this with the realization that you could be potentially pushing up against someone's energetic free will, right? That doesn't mean you don't do it, right? But that means you approach this consciously, right? And what we'll find out is that you can't really do it. You can never violate a person's energetic free will. You can only provide a suggestion. Right? So once you pick a new story, step 4, you want to figure out what the energy of that story feels like. And for this, you want to engage your imagination. Imagination, this wonderful, beautiful power that we have. Take that energy, figure out how it would feel if the new story was true, right? Once you have this new energy that you're able to feel, right, in this new story, the 5th step is you adopt that story as reality. You stamp it as real, right? Now this is very, very subtle, right? This is very hard to do for a lot of people because it's more than just repeating over and over again what you want to hear. It's not going to be enough to say, I'm smart, I'm smart, I'm smart. No, you need to believe the story, right? I don't need to tell myself I have a hand, I have a hand, I have a hand. I know this hand is here. It's obvious, right? When you believe something, you don't need to keep telling yourself over and over again. And by the way, you will know when you have adopted a new stamp of reality when your unconscious inner talk validates that. So if the story you're trying to sell yourself is I'm smart, I'm smart, I'm smart, but then you find yourself unconsciously saying, oh man, I'm dumb as hell. You haven't done it, right? You're only talking, right? So there are many, many ways to be able to adopt new energetic realities. I'm sure you know of some. The one that has allowed me to kind of come into this ability has been meditation, right? In deep meditation, I realized the process by which I give reality to thought, right? And then once that thing that I was doing came into my conscious level of awareness, well, hey, I can start applying that consciously. So you have this new story, you have this new energy, adopt it as reality. exist in it. Fake it till you make it, right? And those are the 5 steps. And dear friends, I tell you, this keeps proving itself to be true, right? I am consistently able to be in spaces, in situations, and be confronted with a certain energy that's not agreeable, right? Realizing that this is a story, shifting that story, and seeing the results manifest in physical life without any effort. I do nothing physically. All I do is this mental act of transmutation, and reality conforms to it. It's blowing my mind. Now I want to talk a bit about the violation of other people's energetic free will, which I think is something that we need to talk about if we're going to talk about mental transmutation, especially as it applies to transmuting other people's perception about themselves or a view or whatnot. I think this is what really is meant by the term blessing and the term curse. When you transmute energy to make a person feel more in contact with themselves, to feel empowerment, to feel something that you would wish for yourself, that is a blessing. When we give energy to a person that is alienates them from themselves, that makes them feel disempowered, that is something that you wouldn't wish on yourself, this is what we call a curse. Now, when you're giving energy to other people, they don't have to accept it, right? They will feel it, but they need not accept it. If they feel that energy, when they feel that energy, if they accept that energy as reality, if they give that energy the stamp of reality, then the curse has been applied, the blessing has been applied, the transmutation of another has been successful. If they reject it, then what will happen is that energy through life will be shifted and thrown back at you. This is why a lot of witches, a lot of people who practice black magic can attest to the fact that they'll know about their curses if they start feeling that energy themselves, right? This is why it's very dangerous to curse people, because oftentimes you'll get that energy thrown back at you multiplied. But this is why it's always safe to bless people. So, let's see. Talked about blessing and curses, blah, blah, blah. Astral transmutation. So I'm actually not going to talk a lot about astral transmutation for the mere fact that I'm still discovering the astral plane for myself. I used to not really believe in the astral plane, but I have come to the conclusion that it is real, and if I have to describe it, it is that state of which we are still embodied, but not in this physical body. So we can think of the dream state of conscious astral projection, which I have done, and if you haven't done it, I suggest looking into it. Daydreaming, imagination, right? And the qualities of this body, of the astral body, is that it's not bound by time and space in the same way that the physical world is. But it has huge ramifications for our physical experience, right? Now, I also am realizing that astral relates to the stars, right? Astral means star, or the stars. And I used to not really hold too much stock in astrology until I read my natal chart, and felt like I was reading my autobiography. It was wild, So the astral realm is something that I am exploring right now and wondering how transmutation can apply on this plane of existence. If you do astral transmutation, I would love it if you would leave a comment or DM me letting me know how that looks for you and what results you get from that. But yeah, I just want to make this video because I realized that transmutation is a wonderful human power that is largely untapped into, And I'm very interested in conversation. If you applied some of these mental transmutation techniques that I've talked about, I would love it if you would tell me what happens. If you think what I'm saying is absolute bullshit, then please prove me wrong. I'd love to be proved wrong. Try it out. Tell me what happens. If you think what I'm saying is harmful, I think that's useful information as well. So please tell me. Or if you have something to add. But yeah, I think that's it.